All right, it looks like we're live. I'm gonna make sure.
I am lost. Oh, here we go. Okay. I was looking at the chat.
All right, we are set. Okay.
All right.
Cool. And some people will hop on with us, but I think we will go ahead and get started because I think we've got a lot to talk about today. So good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another City Updates live broadcast. I'm your host, Jamie Chavez from the Westminster Chamber of Commerce, and we're thrilled to have you with us today. Thanks for being here. As always, we're here to bring you the latest insights straight from City Hall, featuring conversations with our councilors, our mayor, mayor pro tem, and other city leaders, and it is your backstage pass to what's happening in Westminster. If this is your first time joining us on the broadcast, thank you so much for being here with us. Special welcome to you. For our Facebook viewers, make sure that you like and follow our page. You'll get notifications when we go live in the future. And if you're on YouTube, you can hit subscribe, and then you can also explore all of our previous broadcasts there as well, if you're so inclined. On Mondays, the broadcasts are all about city updates, while on Wednesdays, we offer a chance to meet the newest members of the chamber and learn about their businesses and organizations. So I hope that you'll join us for those broadcasts as well. This Wednesday at 11, I will be live with Cover Tech, and I'm excited for them to be able to share with you their services and what they're bringing to the Westminster community. And then I also reserved one Friday of the month for county updates featuring Jefferson County Commissioner Rachel Zenzinger. So stay tuned for that to be informed on broader county matters. And as you watch the broadcast this morning, please feel free to engage with us. Drop your comments, questions, or say hello in the comments section, and we will make sure to get to those during the interview. And now, finally, a warm welcome to Councilor Amber Hott. How are you today?
Good. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. We were just talking that this is only the second time somehow that you've been on here with me. Yep. So I'm so excited to have you again, and looking forward to our conversation today. I'll probably just let you kick off with what's going on in your world down at City Hall.
Yeah, so I am Councilor Hott. I use they, them pronouns. And so right now, the budget, it's a year-long process. We start in February and we end in October. So we have been doing a lot of budget presentations with our different departments. We have a couple of those tonight, actually. And I think it's been really helpful, not just for council to understand how the budget needs to be allocated, but I think it's also really good for our residents to be able to see how our money is actually being spent in the different departments, and how the city is actually using that money. So as far as educating us, I think it's good, but I think it's also good for our residents to know as well. And then we did have our strategic planning in the very beginning of February, and we didn't change much. We just looked at what areas of the strategic plan that we've been working on and where the strengths have been, but what areas do we need to maybe work a little harder on. And then we didn't add much to the strategic plan, but we did add animal welfare as another one of those things that is a priority, because it's not just people, but we also have to sometimes deal with wild animals. We also have ordinances around how many pets you can have. We're also looking at what to do about feral cat communities. And so we did add that into our strategic planning. And then another thing we're looking at is trying to be creative and looking at what we can do to fund our fire department, because we did have an initiative that we had put on the ballot. Unfortunately, it didn't pass. But our fire department, we have a couple fire departments that definitely need to be remodeled. They were made in a time where tri-levels were really popular, but that's might be fine for a home, but for a fire department, when there's emergencies and people are trying to get out quickly, it's not really the best. And so we have a couple fire departments that need some remodeling, and we actually need two more stations, because we have some areas that are not currently covered. And so when there's an emergency, the difference between 4 minutes and 8 minutes can be huge. So we need to look at what we can do to fill those gaps. Yeah, so those are some of the big things that we're looking at right now.
Awesome.
Great. And then tonight, we have presentations. So we have a concept review for Mandalay Gardens. A concept review is when a developer comes in and they have an idea. Most concept reviews never actually get to the point where they're pulling permits. A developer comes in, they say, we have this idea, and then council says, you know, I like this part of the idea, I don't like this part, but it's just, it's none of it's binding, none of it's, you know, it's just, it gives the developer an idea if it's something that council would approve if they decided to go further in that process. But I believe only 25%, if I am correct, I believe it's only 25% of concept review plans that ever go further. So sometimes people get nervous when they see the concept reviews. So that's why I just want to let people know that this is very informal. It's just a developer saying, I have this idea, and council saying whether they like the idea or not. And then we have a budget presentation with human resources, and then a budget presentation with community services. And then we have a presentation by the Westminster Community Foundation. I know we were talking about that. We were both looking forward to that. They are restructuring a little bit, and so looking forward to hearing from them, and looking forward to them succeeding.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, do you have any other updates on city stuff or anything else you want to throw in there before I give you some questions?
Yeah, no, well, I'm ready for the questions.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. So, one thing that I'm curious about is things that happen kind of behind the scenes in city government that you wish people understood more or just knew about.
I think people think that we have more resources than we do.
Sure.
So there are people who are like, oh, we can meet in your office. We don't have offices. We don't have office space. That is actually something that we're talking to the city manager about, is maybe we could have a room that maybe we could schedule time. I know I like, I prefer not working at home. I like being able to go somewhere. And so maybe a few hours being able to have a room. So we've been talking about that, but we don't have offices. We don't have cards that we can go like have lunch on. We pay for our own coffees and lunches, and we don't have aides. I know some people are like, oh, you know, I can schedule something with your aide. I would love to have an aide. As somebody who used to be able to.
How do we get one of those? I would like one too.
Yeah. But I'm looking at maybe finding an intern, maybe somebody who's in high school, somebody who can shadow and who's interested and would like to learn. That might be a good for me and good for them, something they can put on their resume, and also learn more a little bit about government. But I do think people think that, and I do think that I think people think that we know more than we do. We don't. Most of our business we do up front. The only time we have an executive session if there's a legal reason why we can't do that business publicly. But most of the business we do publicly. So we really try to keep the community as informed as we are as we're going through processes. And so yeah, I think as long as people are paying attention, we do live stream all of our meetings on Facebook and YouTube. So you don't even have to be present, and you don't even have to watch it on the day, right? But I think, you know, if you're just paying attention, you'll really understand a lot of why we're doing what we do. Because a lot of the times when we're taking a vote or there's an issue that might be a little bit more divisive, we always explain why we're voting the way we're voting, and how we feel about an issue. And so it helps the community not understand just like what votes we're taking, but why we're taking the votes and why we're taking the stands that we are, which I think is helpful.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I imagine that's tough too without, an office or office hours, and then you're just always out getting coffee or, meeting people places. So happy to
and I'm always
office.
open to meet. I don't have specific office hours, but right now my schedule is really flexible, so I'm usually able to meet constituents on their schedule. So and I also tell people the fastest way and the best way to get a hold of me is actually text me. So yeah, my phone number's online. It's on my card. So if you look up Westminster, you can also email me too. You can also email me, but I just get back a lot faster, usually same day or next day by text. So I'm totally good with my constituents and residents texting.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll pull that information up here in a second, post it for people so they've got it as well. But I have another question for you. How do you approach a tough decision when the community is split on an issue? What's kind of your, what are your guidelines there?
Well, I do try to talk to as many residents as possible. I do try to get as much information as possible. So that way I feel like I'm making an informed decision. And really at the end of the day, my morals and my values are important, and I have to be able to sleep at night. And so I just, there's no way you can be in this position and be a people pleaser. No matter how you vote, somebody is not going to be happy. And as long as you can accept that, so you can make the best decisions that you feel is best for the community or best for the organization or, best for, best for the city, you just have to make that choice that you think is best, and then just accept that not everybody's going to be happy with it.
Yeah, that's probably tough.
sometimes it is, and sometimes it's hard. The one I'm thinking of that was really hard was when we were talking about wards, and there were 2 different ward systems that we were looking at. And the one I wanted isn't the one that passed, which is fine. Sometimes the way you'd like a vote to go, it doesn't go that way, but council has spoken. But I know that there were some people who were really happy with how I voted and were not happy with how I voted. But at the end of the day, I think that either one would have been good. Unfortunately, that didn't pass. That went to the ballot, and that didn't pass either. So we are still at large. But hopefully we can come up with something different and something that the community likes more, because I think we would have better representation with wards.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. One thing that I really enjoy is speaking with former city councilors and for former mayors, former city leaders, and hearing them talk about the things that really made an impact on Westminster while they were serving. And so I'm curious what you think maybe is a policy or initiative right now that you're going to be, facing that will have the biggest long-term impact on the Westminster community.
Yes. So one of the things that I have been really passionate since I've been running and I've been working on since I've been on city council is our unhoused population. And part of the issue is we didn't have enough navigators. So each navigator can only take on 25 clients at a time. And so if we only had 2 navigators, they could only help 50 people at a time. So now we allocated the budget for 4. And so now they can help 100 people at a time. And the count actually, when they did the count, was a little over 100. It actually dropped a little bit from the prior year. I think it was somewhere around 100, 115. And we know that count is low. There are people who are, maybe couch hopping or sleeping in their cars that didn't get counted, or it's always going to be higher. But I think having those resources and being able to help, it doesn't just help the people who are unhoused, it also helps our residents. We have a lot of residents who there are certain trails they don't want to use because they're afraid of people who are camping in our open spaces. And so it's not just our unhoused, it helps, it also helps our residents. But that is something that in 4 years, hopefully I get a second term, but in 4 years, if I don't get a second term, or in 8 years, if I do get a second term, that's something that I want to be able to look back and feel like we were able to make a difference. We were able to help, and not just the people who need the help, but also our residents, our business owners who, I do know there are some business owners who, when there are unhoused people around, sometimes they're afraid people don't want to come to their businesses. And really, most of the people that we offer help to take the help. So we had a study session with the police department not too long ago. And over the last year, there was only 10 people who either refused help or wouldn't move out of all of the people that we came into contact with. And so most of them take the help. And so we're getting people, housing, jobs. We are, people are getting clean for the first time in years. And so it helps people who are going through a hard time, and it helps them become, tax-paying citizens that they can feel, good about the trajectory of their life. And it also helps our residents who are not unhoused, and helps our business owners. So that's something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, I can tell. I kind of want to follow up on that because I want to know what that process is. If I see a lot like online, people notice that there's camps or that there's an unhoused person that's noticeably distressed and could use some help. And so what's the process there that someone calls the city, they call the police department, the navigator comes out with an officer? What does that look like, and what services are provided?
Yeah, so you can call the city. You can also call the non-emergency line, assuming it's not an emergency. If there's an emergency, definitely call 911. And yeah, a navigator will come out. If we need a police officer, depending on what's going on, I'm sure that they would come out. But we try to, our police officers, I think we have a really good department. We have officers who are really empathetic, which I appreciate. But I do know that sometimes unhoused people, they're afraid of our police officers. So if we can limit the contact with police officers, as long as they're not committing crime, like, if somebody's committing unhoused or not, that's not okay. But we're not talking about people who are committing crimes. So they will be offered resources and, again, housing, temporary housing, then permanent housing. And so they will start working one-on-one with a navigator, and they will have regular meetings with that navigator. And if we have to get the police involved, so let's say somebody's camping in an area and they really can't be camping there. Well, then our police officers will let them know you have 7 days to move. And then if they don't move within 7 days, then the police will come out and physically, move them. There are some areas of the city that they can't do that with. And so we are looking at how we might be able to change those ordinances. They did come to us, and we felt like they were the suggestions were a little too rigid. I would like to see, so I don't want to say it's illegal to sleep in your car unless we have a place that people can go and sleep in their car. So, right now there are areas like, City Hall, fire stations. Instead of saying you're not allowed to park there, maybe we allow some parking during certain hours at some of our fire. Like if I was sleeping in my car, I would feel safe at a fire station, right? You know, and if we're going to say that it's illegal for people to sleep outside, then we need to have a place for them to go. So that's where I'm at on that. You know, I can't say you're not allowed to sleep outside unless we have a shelter that they can go to. I don't feel like it's okay to say it's illegal to sleep in your car unless we have a safe place that they can take their car. So I was unhoused in 2010. I lost my apartment. I was working, but my paycheck was not going as far as I needed it to go. And I ended up unhoused. And a lot of people, they have ideas on why people become unhoused, but I had 3 little kids. I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't drinking. I had to take care of my kids. I had to take care of myself. I had to hold down a job. And sometimes you can be doing everything in your power, but things still happen. And so I just, knowing where I was, I would hate for it to be anything I tried was illegal because I don't have a house, right? So if we're going to say certain things are illegal, we need to have somewhere where people can go, or a process that they can go through. And I really didn't think that 2 navigators and only being able to help 50 people at a time was nearly enough. And we need to see what gaps we can fill. You know, there's laundry, you know, people are looking for jobs, but sometimes their things get stolen. Well, that means IDs, that means social security cards. You know, I know unhoused people who they were getting ready to start a new job in just a couple of days, and somebody took their things, and now they don't have the ID and the social security card they need to start their job. Eat clothes, washing clothes, needing clean clothes when you go for interviews, you know, needing a phone so people can call you back when you're you know, looking for a job, you know, those kind of things. So yeah, if we're not providing ways for people to succeed, I don't think it's okay to say you're basically saying you're not allowed to be unhoused, which, yeah, I don't agree with.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for your work in that area. It's definitely something that I know the residents and the businesses in Westminster care a lot about, and you know, would like to see it handled with compassion. So definitely appreciate that. I was going to ask if you had like a magic wand that you could fix one local challenge immediately, what it would be, but that might be it. Do you have a runner-up?
Yeah, probably the housing prices. You know, everything. If you didn't buy a house 15, 20 years ago, I see jokes. Kids are making jokes. Young adults are making jokes saying, you know, it's too bad I didn't buy a house when I was a fetus. Because now that's the only time, you know, people could afford it. And so, yeah, really looking at what we can do to lower the housing costs, not just for people who are entering the housing market, because I would like more people to be able to enter the housing market, but also seniors who are looking to downsize, and or you know, senior housing, affordable senior housing. And so we are actually looking at some affordable senior housing in the downtown, but we are also getting condos for sale in the new downtown, which we are really excited about because we haven't had condos for probably about 20 years in Westminster. So I'm really excited that we have some opportunities for people to get into the housing market, and also opportunities for our seniors who need an affordable option.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Shifting gears a little bit, what is a business or a neighborhood or some other aspect of Westminster that's really inspiring you right now?
Well, I know we have a dance studio in Westminster, a Fred Astaire. So my big passion right now, what I do to de-stress and to have some work-life balance, I'm really into dancing. And I've been learning all the Latin dances. I've been learning salsa, bachata, rumba, and it's been so much fun. And so, yes, if you are interested in dance, I know Fred Astaire does a lot of ballroom dancing. I've learned a little bit of that. I've learned a little bit of swing. And actually in Westminster in April, we are having another pop-up swing dance class. So we had one last month at the Swim and Fitness Center. And so if you're interested in that, in dancing, you can sign up for that through Parks and Rec. And also, we are going to be having a salsa night in May. Last year we had it was more like swing dancing. But this year Parks and Rec is going to have a salsa night. And so yeah, look out for that. So dance has been inspiring me, and I know we have our Fred Astaire, and we might even have a couple other dance studios here in Westminster. But yeah, that's been my big passion lately.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them actually. But you might see me at a couple of those events. I love dancing, so
You should come. You should come.
Yeah. When is the April one?
I don't have the exact date. Oh yeah, I think it might be on the 9th.
Okay.
Wait, or maybe it's the 5th.
That's okay. I can look it up, but
yeah, I have to look at the calendar. I have to look at the calendar. But yeah, so that's coming up. And the last one was really, really fun. So yeah, they teach you how to do some dance moves and some swing moves. And then after that, there's an hour of like free dance, and then you can, do all the things that you learned. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I have one more question for you. It's been probably about a year since I interviewed you on this broadcast, and you've been a counselor now for, like a year and a half almost, or something.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. How has being on council changed you as a person or as a leader?
Well, like I said before, people pleasing is not a thing. You just can't make everyone happy.
Yeah.
And I'll even, meet with people who I would wish that I would take a different stance, because I want to hear from everyone. But yeah, I think, they say it takes 6 months to a year to really be comfortable in your role. And that's very true. I don't think I'm probably a little quieter than I was in the beginning. I started out as an activist. But I still get that fiery activist, energy, but I think I'm a lot calmer. And I think that, even knowing that some people, and sometimes it's hard, because sometimes the people you're going to disappoint are the people who supported you. Sometimes the people who don't agree with how you're voting on an issue is somebody who helped you get elected. And that's always hard. That's always hard. But like I said, at the end of the day, I have to make the decision that I think is going to be best for the city, best for our residents, best for our future. And sometimes that means disappointing people, and sometimes that's the people you care about. And I become friends with some of my supporters. But I still have to make the decision that's best for the city.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I'm posting a link to your contact information. So here we go. That's the link to the city page with all of Councilor Hott's contact information. And as they mentioned, feel free to reach out. Anything else that you have for our viewers today?
No. Just if you can, stay involved. We'd love to hear from you. You can come public comment, talk about anything that you're either happy about or unhappy about. Actually, a lot of the issues that we work on are issues that people bring to us at public comment. And you can always reach out for coffee or tea. And we, like I said, we live stream on YouTube and Facebook. And so you don't even have to come to see what's going on with the city. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on here, and thanks for everybody that joined. And gosh, it's Monday. Happy Monday. Hopefully everybody has a really great week. And this was fun. We'll do this again in a few months.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, goodbye, everybody. Thanks.
All right. Bye.